doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Anti-Semitism is a poison, and that is why I drove it out of the Labour Party. In government, we're acting to drive it out of society. New powers to ban repeated protests, new plans to root anti-Semitism out of our schools, universities and the health service, and new prescription-like powers to clamp down on malign state activity which incites hatred and violence. And we will take further steps.
Facts. The answer is usually, and unfortunately, we don't. Because when the international media reports about this conflict, they never describe the suffering of the Israeli citizens in the northern part of our country. Those people who were evacuated for a year and a half from their houses after October 2023, came back and again found themselves in this war under attack.
I like.
Well, will you support J.D. Vance? I think he's great compared to Rubio.
Obviously, he's great compared to Rubio. Obviously. Look, I'll support the best person. I always have liked J.D. Vance enormously. I think he's really smart. He's in an impossible situation. I think he's doing his best. I strongly disapprove of, obviously, as I've said 100 times, of this war and of what's.
Oh, I love how Trump and others have been blaming Vance when he's volunteering to go stop it, when internally it's confirmed he tried to stop it just like you did. I love how the guy that was right, he's the bad guy now and the war is his fault.
Oh, it's the people who tell the truth who are punished. I think that, well, first I would say that I don't think Netanyahu is the most radical person in Israel. In fact, I think probably in the political class, the ruling political class in Israel, Netanyahu is probably more on the moderate side. So the idea that the problem is Netanyahu is just not true. I wish it were true because it's easily fixable. You just there's going to be an election fairly soon, get a new prime minister, the country calms down. No, the problem is much deeper than that. The problem is so deep, in fact, and this is not speculation, it is true. Mossad, which everyone despises, and for good reason, I think, and is afraid of, definitely for good reason, is a moderating force on the Netanyahu government. So, for example, the Israeli strike on Doha, Qatar on September 9th, which was one of the craziest things Israel's ever done, strike America's closest ally in the region during a negotiation. Like, it was so out of bounds that even Trump complained about it at the time. Mossad sat that one out. They did not participate in that strike because they're like, whoa, this is too crazy. Like, you're going to alienate our only remaining ally. But the Netanyahu government, which is not just Netanyahu, it's a coalition. It's a parliamentary system. There's a lot of different parties involved in that coalition. They push
and everything else is up for further discussion. I think people are upset because I think some of the language, particularly the phrasing by the vice president in his, frankly, hostile tone towards the Strait of Israel puts a lot of people on edge. He sometimes seems to have forgotten who the bad guy is and who the good guy is in all of this. I mean,
a very strategic relationship that we have with the nation, the Jewish state of Israel.
Absolutely. Look, I think the vice president owes the American people an apology. I mean, making an offensive statement that Israel only exists because the United States created it is disrespectful to millions of Americans, many of whom have had relatives who died in the Holocaust. Israel was created through the blood, sweat, and tears of the Jews in the aftermath of the greatest tragedy in the history of the world. And America wasn't always a great friend to Israel in its earliest formational days. So
Israel's existence is not negotiable, and it does not depend on superpowers or the public opinion. And if they keep pushing Israel to the corner, they are the ones who are going to suffer the most. Israel hasn't used everything that it has. And Israel, on a purpose, did not expose the advanced weapons that it has for a very important reason. We don't want the enemy to know what we are having. And now, at this point, we're just playing around. So This is the clear message to those who think that they can annihilate Israel. Behind Israel is existence.
All right, let me ask this. Why the deep hatred for Israel? Why?
Yeah, because I mean, if you have such contempt for Israel, I mean, of course, you're also anti-American and you're anti-Western civilization, and you're anti-capitalism and the American way of life. I mean, now they're all socialists, of course, and now there's communists and now Marxists, and now they're proud of this. And now, of course, we have P. Hustle in Maine. That's another one. He's a self-avowed, communist too. Now that's not even looked down on and a significant part of the Democratic Party.
No, we can't. And I think that Turkey of Erdogan and Syria of Bashar are now far more concerning than Iran. The era of the Shiite empire of Iran, Assad, Syria, and Hezbollah is over. The new axis is the Muslim Brotherhood axis of Erdogan's Turkey, Syria, and Qatar. And it's better to get awake and to open your eyes now.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Thanks for joining us today. Wow, a lot to unpack in that cold open, big time. We want the truth. We are about the truth. We are about bringing truth to you and making you the smartest in the room, as we've always said. And we want to get you the big picture today of what's happening across the world. And Tom Teague and I are going to have an in-depth discussion and bring up a lot of points. I want to say hello to the crew. You're cleared hot in the chat. Thanks for all the engagement. Whatfinger.com. Check it out. It's a great aggregator site. There's so much to walk through in that cold open, but let's do the mission brief real quick. I'm your host, Todd Wood. Today is June 24th, and this is your mission brief. Mamdani wins in New York congressional primary elections. All three of his endorsed candidates won. Constantino won in the district for Stefanik. So a lot going on in New York that we're going to ramp up coverage there. So much going on in the world. We're having a hard time just keeping up with all of it, but we do our best to bring you what is important. UK to test more deadly long-range missiles for Ukraine. This is concerning because we're in NATO. NATO is funding and helping Ukraine hit Russia very impactfully, I might add, and their energy reserves and energy production across Siberia, literally thousands of kilometers from Ukraine in the front. So Russia is being pressured, and the NATO is helping. So if is NATO a combatant? I mean, that's where we're at. So is Russia cleared to strike NATO countries? We're in NATO. So where is this going? We put out a piece that this is insanity, and that we need to pull out of NATO, because that's the goal, obviously, is to start a major global war with Russia and bring the U.S. in. Is Bibi getting thrown under the bus? Interesting stuff with the Israeli stuff, and I want to just dig down into it. We're not taking a side. We just want to talk about some of the truths there and some of the mistruths being promoted. Whoa, the president posted an MEK interview. We have been all over this for a decade, and the president posted an interview with Ali Reza, who I know well, one of the officials at the National Council of Resistance in Iran in Washington, D.C. So fascinating developments. CDM's always early, guys. Just remember that. And the Senate passes the CBDC ban until 2030. Why only a couple years? That's a big question. Why only a couple years? Why not for a long period of time. So we're going to talk about all of that, the big picture with Tom Teague. I got a lot to go through with him. Wow. Let's get to it. All right, we'll be right back after this break. Stay with us.
Every day, your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
And by the way, I wanted to say I'm starting my journey with Sean. I'm going to be getting a Ghost phone and then upgrading to a Ghost computer soon, because I am going to unplug for the Matrix. And you can follow me along on my journey. So mark37.com/CDM is where you want to go to do that. Find the webinar, sign up for the webinar, and learn everything you need to know to get started. And then you can also sign up for a free 30-minute consultation on privacy there at mark37.com/CDM. But I'm looking forward to it, and I have been worried about privacy for some time. So I'm going to be taking the plunge and changing my life and unplugging from the Matrix, and I'm really looking forward to it. So maybe you can join me. If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and IRA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio, because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Do you already have your investments with Fidelity? I'm David Cross with U.S. Asset Management. Did you know that you can assign your investment management to my team and put my 35 years of experience to work for you? You simply assign us as your investment manager, and you keep the same username and password. Professional management, and you get to work with someone who shares your values. Call U.S. Asset Management today and put us to work for you.
All right, welcome back to the SCIF. I forgot to mention we're going to have a little bit of a history lesson in the second hour. We'll be in Beirut in a few weeks, reporting direct on what's going on in the Levant with the war, with hopefully a ceasefire by then, but also with the Christian community and the new media outlet we will be opening in Lebanon, along with our partners there. So we're very excited about that. So we're going to start focusing on some of the history, and we're going to talk about the Beirut bombing, which most people really don't know what happened. They just think some explosion happened, but it was in the middle of the Christian quarter, and many, including me, think it was intentional to continue the destruction of Christianity in the Levant. So stay tuned for that. But right now, let's talk about what's going on in the world. Before we get going, we're on podcast. We're on please follow our social media. If you haven't done it yet, go to CDM1 on Rumble. Please go to YouTube and just click it, subscribe to CDM. Really important to grow those numbers as we try to grow the network in the face of massive censorship. And also CDM_press on X. If you could do the 3 things like that, that would be great for us. All right, I'm going to bring in Tom Teague, and let's give you the big picture. My friend, thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
So, so much to talk about, man. I mean, I feel like we're moving into a shift, Tom. Like something's about to happen, and I think it's going to be good. But there, a lot of the paradigms that have been built over the last 50 years are going to fall away. What do you think? What's that?
I totally agree with you. I think a lot of this stuff's over. I think the whole post Second World War kind of system is falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's not working for people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not working for Europe. It's not working for most Americans. It hasn't helped us, you know, economically. It's just created a lot of debt, and I think it's all being sort of toppled and reformed. And I applaud it. I think it's great.
And this conversation yesterday, you think that the president is what's driving this, at least?
I think it's a huge part of it. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like, I think people look at one issue at a time, and they like, why isn't he doing this? Why isn't he doing this? I think there's definitely a plan in place to change the world, to change the U.S., to reform it, to make it, you know, to make it more economically prosperous, and to have our foreign policies align with the people in the country so that they benefit from them, which is one of the big sort of issues that we've had with this post Second World War system. It wasn't benefiting Americans, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the globalization thing has run its course, and I think, you know, everything has a cycle. I think that's sort of kind of at the end, in the form that it was. And I think Trump is, like, if you look at all these steps he's taken, you know, like you look at Panama, you look at Venezuela, you look at what we're doing in Iran. It's not just because of Israel. It's also because of global trade and the strategic importance of the Straits of Hormuz and what Iran's role has historically been, and China. And so there's a lot of different elements to it. It's not just the, you know, one thing. And I also think, like, look at the elections that we've had since U.S. aid stopped and Central and South America. I mean, it's a huge difference, right?
Yeah.
And it's just coming out more and more that, like, this U.S. aid stuff was basically just a left-wing funding exercise, you know, and they were in control of it, and it was either going back into the Democrats or it was funding, you know, leftist policies, socialist, like, you know, sort of petri dishes overseas. Yeah. It's stopping. We weren't benefiting from any of this.
Well, we were talking yesterday that, you know, look at Latin America, 7 or 8 elections, and all of them went to right-wing candidates.
Yeah.
After USAID was defunded.
Correct.
Yeah. And I saw Elon Musk put out something yesterday. He's like, okay, we went into USAID and they said all this money is going to the kids and helping this and saving lives. And he said,
they looked at it. It clearly wasn't, right?
Well, he's like, show me the kids. Let me talk to them. And they're like, well,
show me where the money's going. Well, first of all, like, A, it was going to places it shouldn't be going, and B, it was probably employing a lot of the politicians' children and family members.
Yes.
Right? People were getting, like, fat salaries to do nothing. You know, it's a total abuse. I mean, I think now, and it seems the case, but I think Elon Musk knows a lot more. Trump knows a lot more about what Doge discovered. And I think that, you know, I think we'll start getting more and more information about that. I know the DOJ yesterday, I think, uncovered and charged people for like $6.5 billion worth of fraud. Yeah. I mean, I think our country has developed because we have such big spending into this giant, like, you know, sort of graft operation for people, for healthcare, for defense, for, you know, all this stuff. And it's just gone unchecked. And most of the politicians go to Washington, they get rich, so they're not really going to complain about the system. It reminds me a lot, actually, about how banking was before the GFC. Like, none of the people that were really running banks cared about their shareholders. They just cared about themselves and enriching themselves. And, it was a bad incentive situation. And I think our government is right there right now. I just hope, like, unlike the GFC, I hope our government doesn't completely collapse,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No.
I remember those days. You take 100 shit bonds and you make them into a AAA note. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thing,
Yeah. That was, thank God I wasn't part of that, but yeah.
I remember the day my boss walked into my office and said, it's going to all collapse. This was like 2007. He's like, this is all just smoke and mirrors.
There were a lot of people who were aware of that.
Yeah.
I just don't think that, I was having a conversation with somebody about this today, and they were saying, like, it was the regulators again. It was the government. It wasn't just the banks had a bad incentive. The government had a bad incentive, right? They were providing housing for everybody, and they allowed the regulators themselves allowed the banks to get 30, 40 times leverage, and that's ultimately what took them down.
The banks, the auditors, the rating agencies,
everybody was in on
it, man. Everybody was just printing money, printing money. I just remember it well. We would create CDOs for customers, and they just give us, it was like a dating app. You like, this is the parameters I want.
They would shove them all into pension funds because of the rating. Yeah, they didn't
exactly. Exactly.
It was a total joke.
So I want to focus on this whole anti-Semitism Israeli thing. I mean, we don't have a dog in the fight, but first of all, the shift from, okay, Assad's gone, Iran's gone, now we got to focus on the Sunnis in Turkey. I mean, I find that disturbing. Are we going to ramp up for another war?
I don't think Netanyahu in Israel is particularly popular.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I think that, I think there's a lot of people in America that generally are either lobbied or, I mean, this is my own personal opinion, but I think that Israel right now has a PR problem because they've let Netanyahu run everything. And, he's going around saying things like, I'm reading a book about how we're going to defeat Rome. That's not good PR, right? I mean, Israel may think that
and America's the next Rome, and we won't lose this battle.
Right.
I mean, if you follow his whole conversation,
think that they don't need America, and maybe they don't now. Maybe they are a world power. Technologically, they probably are. They probably kick the shit out of most European countries, which isn't saying much. But so maybe they just want to go it alone. And I think that's a big risk for them because a lot of times, hubris can lead to bad things. And we've seen it with ourselves, and we're a much bigger country. I don't think questioning our role as someone who is, I look at it like you're at a bar and you've got a smaller friend and he always hits on everyone's girlfriend and starts fights, and you always invariably get brought into it and have to beat people up. At some point, you're like, okay, listen, I'm not going to the bar with you anymore if you keep doing this. And I also think that, like, we're a big world power and we have to do what's good for our country. And, people are out there saying, well, the US, they abandoned Israel in this fight with Iran. Well, how can you say that? We destroyed their Navy, their Air Force, their radar, took out half of their senior leadership. Like, that's not a loss. That's a win. And we clearly control the board now, So I think that, we have to worry about our own economy. We also don't want oil to be at $200, and we don't have the same, benefits risk system that Israel does. So we have to act. And I'm glad that Trump's doing this. We have to sort of act in our best own interest, and with the interest, obviously, of our ally, Israel, in there as well. But it's a balance. It's not just we're just going to fight this war and we're going to destroy the Middle East in the process, so Israel can, like, knock another guy off their list that could be a potential threat. And I do think Iran is clearly a threat to Israel. I do think that what we're doing now serves a purpose, but I think that, for them to be in control of all the decision making and how far we go in this at this time, I don't think they should. And
oh, it's insane.
It is insane.
I mean, I think you're seeing the Bibi getting thrown on the bus. I mean, Reuters, you mentioned it. Reuters came out yesterday.
I think they're tired of him. They're tired of his lecturing. They're tired of his, like, you know, apocalyptic threats all the time. Look, Iran is clearly a danger to Israel. We know that. We've acted. We've put them in a place. Revolutionary Guard can say whatever they want to say, but it's very clear that we control the board. I mean, 100 million barrels of oil got out of there because they didn't know it. They don't have a radar system, right? We control their airspace right now. So having a ground war is dumb right now when there's another way forward. And there's clearly elements in the Iranian government that are probably willing to bend the knee and to do what we want to some extent, because they want to keep that oil wealth for themselves. So, there's always going to be those people that are going to be softer. So there's probably, a lot of disagreement and internal fighting in Iran right now. And the media is obviously not capturing any of that, because anything that happens, they're like, it's all Trump, it's his fault, whatever. But, hopefully people can see through that at this stage after so many years of BS.
Well, Naftali Bennett, who I think is going to be the next prime minister, who was before the prime minister, is coming after Bennett. I mean, Bibi pretty hard, saying, him and Ben Gvir are out there and saying stupid crap. And then I have to go on CNN for 12 interviews and try to walk it back. So I think there is change. And like Tucker said, I don't know if it's really change in the underlying system, but more just a change at the top to make people happy. What about here? JD Vance is in conflict with Rubio, it seems like. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think JD Vance is but again, we really don't know. That's what it appears to us.
It could be a narrative. It could be a narrative shift here, right?
I can't imagine that any of those guys, Rubio, JD Vance et al., really want to be bossed around by Israel in terms of what's good for us. And I think generally, like I said, I don't think Netanyahu's popular at home, but for some reason in America, he's looked at as he's the end all be all. And certainly with a lot of our politicians, and commentators, Mark Levin, all these guys, they're super tight with him. I'm not sure Israel itself shares that sort of fanaticism level, but I also think that, I don't think we really know, but I think they're good cop, bad cop situations going on as well. I think if you're an American, you certainly don't want Bibi Netanyahu to tell you when to go to war and what to do. That's not look where we are now, right? He's been saying this for years, and how many we've taken down, 5 countries in the Middle East and just created complete chaos. Even and I've got, a lot of moderate Jewish friends, and they're like, did we really need to do Iraq? Like, the guy would have probably bent the knee. A lot of these guys would, and Gaddafi already had, right? It was like neocon stuff going on. And if anything, we need to get these neocons out of our government, 100%. And I hope,
because they want global. It's like you mentioned, hubris. It's a global hubris. They want to control the world, and anyone who opposes them, anyone who talks back against them. This whole anti-Semitism thing is really a clamp down on free speech. I mean, look at what Starmer's doing and was doing in the UK. I mean, it's insane.
Oh yeah. Well, thank God.
And they want that here.
Yeah, of course they do.
I want to get to Pulte and all that stuff, but there was some comments in the cold open. One from one gentleman was, that I think Randy Fine, the Holocaust was the greatest tragedy in the world. Well, that was, reportedly 6 million, but the Holodomor in Ukraine killed 10 million Christians.
Yeah, I heard that as well. And what happened in China, and this stuff goes on a lot more. They don't have a patent on the suffering.
And I found that they talk about all these people, Fetterman, all these guys are socialists, and we can't have socialists in power. Well, the Israelis started as a socialist country. I mean, look at the kibbutz. I mean, they're communes.
Yeah.
It's. I just want to say that because it's truth. And then Tucker talking, which makes me wonder about Tucker, because he's like, well, the Mossad was involved or wasn't involved in that raid on Qatar, but how does he know that? right? I mean, it makes me wonder just what the underlying agendas are.
Well, I certainly think it is bad to justify doing evil because of evil done to you.
Yes.
And it doesn't. Randy Fine, I think, is a huge sycophant, and I don't agree with him on most things, despite him being a Republican. But I can tell you right now, they got bigger problems. Look at this primary in New York with Dan Goldman, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he got run out of a coffee shop yesterday for being Jewish. They got bigger problems.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's
that's terrible.
We are entering some interesting times, and it makes me wonder. And I texted you this morning. It's almost like, okay, there's been a lot of preparation over the last several decades. The pager issue, other infiltrations. It makes you wonder, like, what's teed up, right? I mean,
you've got a lot of. I mean, there's definitely, I think, with Netanyahu, right? Like, if you think about it just pragmatically, the more conflict that happens, the more he stays in power, right?
Right.
And he's got some issues, I think, legally and corruption issues and that kind of stuff. And so I think that, and there's also people, I think, in the military walking around with this Greater Israel like insignia on their uniforms, right? And that's like, so I think you got to be, they should be careful about, like, yes, this happened to us in the past, but now we can just obliterate civilizations. And I think, and like, who are we to speak? I mean, America's done an appalling job at ruining and wrecking civilizations in the Middle East. And there's zero accountability for that. And I think that's, but again, I think people are waking up to it, and I think there's a lot less appetite for it in the world, and like people see it. So, and I think Israel, if to the extent they need our help, I think they'd be a lot smarter, like, being more patient and less sort of egoistic in the area,
and not starting a new war with Turkey.
I get that there's a threat, but like this whole thing about, like, Miriam Adelson's paper, if it's her paper, putting out this, article saying that Trump's betrayed Israel, that's just absurd hyperbole. I mean, it's just absurd. Like, they're not in these peace talks probably because they would try and wreck them. It's like they've been using the U.S. as their blunt force in the region for a long time, and we have $8 trillion of debt as a result of it, and we got nothing from it, right? We got
immigration,
entire swaths of the population that could have used that money to go to college. We could build cities. I mean, this is like crazy stuff, right? So it's like, I think it's time for people to kind of be a little bit more moderate and rational about things, and not say, we got to accomplish it all right now.
Well, and Randy Fine saying, if you're anti-Israel, you're anti-American. I mean, how does that happen? I mean, where does that logic come from? I mean, it's unreal.
I mean, I also don't think you're anti-Israel if you don't like Netanyahu, or you don't like his sort of, like, militant expansion. I don't think that means most Israelis don't like that.
Yes.
Right. Most Israelis probably don't want a greater Israel. Right. There's factions of it, but it's like, it's not representative of the entire population. So I think, but that's what we seem to hear in this country, because I think a lot of our politicians are lobbied by these more sort of like, aggressive groups.
It's going to be interesting the next few years. Let's talk about Pulte. He came into ODNI and is firing people, and I think that's a good thing. He's using the excuse that it's too bloated, but I'm hoping that it's targeting a lot of these deep state neocon actors. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because the director of the DNI serves at the president's pleasure, the CIA, most of these agencies. I think what's happened over time is you get these guys in the Senate who are using their oversight and also their their approving of the appointees as a way to control it themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, and I'm fairly convinced of this. I think as time goes on, we're going to realize that 2020 was more of a coup than people realize. And there are certainly a lot of people in the Senate who are Republicans, like Mitch McConnell, and, you know, I don't know, maybe Tom Tillis, maybe he's all over it, right? But there are a number of people that were in on it and we're benefiting from getting rid of Trump. And I saw Tom Tillis attack, you know, Pulte over this, and I'm like, he's doing what Trump wants him to do, and these people serve at the pleasure of Trump. So you know what? Like, deal with it, buddy. And
it's obvious.
He's not even going to be here. So he's bitter that he got cut out, and he's like gone, like, you know, sort of postal on the whole thing. And he's like trying to act like with his little bolo tie that he's like, you know, people in North Carolina don't wear bolo ties, by the way. I don't know where the hell that comes from. That's ridiculous. But, you know, he's running around like trying to cause as much trouble for Trump. And then he gets on and says, oh, I'm a conservative. He's not a conservative. He's a Democrat. He was brought in, my recollection, he was brought in basically to push somebody out who was further right than him and get control of the party, right? And that's what they do. And as far as I'm concerned, the guy's as deep state as you get. But, you know, I think Trump needs to make changes in these agencies that he controls. It's his right to do it. Yeah. And so, you know, I'm 100% supportive of it. Like, it's terrible. I mean, I don't know how, you know, talking about the USAID stuff, I don't know how Americans or politicians with a straight face can say that we need to pay more taxes when all this money is being stolen and wasted in stuff that's not benefiting Americans, right? Like, true. If you have all these like hospices and all these, you know, autism places, and you're just taking money from the government, it's not helping anybody. It's not like you're cutting something that's helping people. This is a fraud, right? And like, we should get this shit in order before we even talk about any taxes. And you know, a lot of people say this, but we have a spending problem. That's our problem. We don't have a revenue problem. We take in enough taxes. We have a spending problem. And if you believe, and I think he'll be proven right on it, but if you believe Musk and there's $1 trillion of waste, well, there goes most of our deficit right there. Right. Exactly. So like, we could be fine. We don't need to talk about, like, you know, a tax on assets, a wealth tax, all that. I lived in a country that had a wealth tax. It's a total shit show. It drives people away. You know, if you tell people like, I'm not going to reward you for your work and you don't own that, I own it, they're not going to do anything. Right. Yeah. That's just the way it is. And you get these guys like Ro Khanna, who's in there, who's nothing but a snake oil salesman. That's all that guy is. He's out there saying, you know, oh, Elon should pay his fair share. The guy's worth $220 million, apparently. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And he trades like a huge amount of stock every year. I mean, the guy's a total fraud, and he's lecturing people on why they need to pay 5%. When California has spent money on railways, on homelessness, and we don't know where a dime of that money's gone.
So true. So true. Well, yeah, I mean,
Tillis,
that's your other profession. Tillis is a big tale, man. I mean, I think the rage was real from him against Musk or against Pulte, because it's like putting your finger in the wound, right? I mean,
they're
grabbing with both hands, right? And they don't like it.
The guy, they like people they can control. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the Senate is supposed to make sure that in these confirmation hearings that they don't get idiots like the guy that was going to be the FCC guy that didn't understand how airplanes work, you know, that Ted Budd deposed.
Yeah.
And you know, like, so they're supposed to make sure that the clowns don't get in. They're not supposed to say, well, you know, I don't agree with this guy's view on this, I don't want him in. They're supposed to make sure that the guy's qualified or not qualified. And that means maybe he wants things that they don't want. And, you know, I went back and looked today, and, you know, Tillis supported 6 out of the 9 cabinet members of Biden. I'm like, so why is he so outspoken about every single person who Trump has? And why is he doing this song and dance? It's such a joke.
Yeah, totally. All right, Tom, my friend, anything else you want to get out? How are the markets doing? Why did tech sell off yesterday?
Well, tech sold off yesterday because in South Korea, there's, Samsung and there's SK Hynix that are memory guys, and they were overbought. There was a lot of like triple, leverage stuff going on. That sold off. It fed over into our country. Today, they're talking about possibly an ADR listing of SK, and, markets are kind of, I think they're very overbought. We've been in a long run on the S&P. So I think just generally we're sort of like kind of topping out for now. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost 2 or 3% in the next few weeks. We've got now, I think wrongly, like up to 2 cuts priced in for this year, or 2 hikes priced in for this year. I don't think the Fed's going to do anything as long as oil, in terms of raising rates, if oil's coming down. And I go back and I look at all these different, cycles. We haven't seen demand inflation. This idea that we're going to grow, and if we grow too fast, we're going to have I think this is all hogwash. And so I'm, but I think short term, markets can probably give up a little bit.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Tom. Really appreciate your insight. All right. Take care. Bye.
Every day, your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
A warm welcome here at the National Press Club. Welcome to the journalists, welcome to the Embraer team, and welcome to the other guests that we have here. I'm going to announce, and as some of you guessed it right when they came in, the first E2 order by an American operator. And that operator is Avello. We believe this is really a strategic shift to unlock profitability for the customer. I'm very pleased that we have Andrew Levy here as the CEO of Avello, and I'm very pleased to give the stage to share a little bit more about what Avello is going to do with the E2 195. Thank you very much.
Couldn't be more excited to be here as part of this historic announcement. We have such a great cultural fit as companies, so we're very, very excited to be Embraer's newest customer. We launched our airline in April of 21, and our target is focusing on small secondary airports of large metro areas. We've carried over 8 million customers since we started on 63,000 flights. And we've done all these things with 1,200 of the greatest crew members I could ever imagine having, and many of them are here with me today. This is the right airplane for us. It's going to open up opportunities for us that no other aircraft can serve. The best thing about the airplane, of course, is you will not find a middle seat on this airplane. It doesn't exist. We won't have any to offer. It's going to be the best cabin in the United States, and we're so excited about that. This is going to elevate our experience to the highest level, and we think our customers are absolutely going to love the airplane.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Welcome back to the SCIF. So, great insight by Tom Teague. Please check out our no ad subscriptions. Go to my.cdm.press. That's my.cdm.press. You get access to all of our content across our 13 sites, soon to be 14 and 15, with no ads, no pop-ups, no display ads, no video ads on your phone. We can't control Rumble and YouTube, but nothing from our end will be shown. So my.cdm.press for our audio audience. I want to also give a shout out to the Wellness Company. Are we on the verge of another pandemic? Is the hype real? Should we be worried? Is this just another effort to terrorize Americans before an election? Who can we trust? That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from TWC doctors all the time on this network, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy. The Wellness Company gives you the opportunity to make sure you are prepared for whatever happens with their series of prescription medical kits that contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more that can help you stay healthy and live a longer and more satisfying life. Be prepared, not scared. Go to twc.health/CDM today and order. That's twc.health/CDM. Use the promo code CDM and save 10%. All right, let's talk about some stories now. On the Manhattan, Mamdani-backed candidates win New York House primaries. You can read through that article. The Manhattan.press is our business channel. We also cover New York City and New York State in that entity. Put it in your scan if you're from that area. We put out a lot of content that you may not get anywhere else, and we're growing that, and we'll be adding new staff in the near future. So check out the Manhattan.press and this story with Mamdani-backed candidates winning House elections. All right, the next one I want to get into is Ukraine and Europe. We've talked a lot about this. Sheer madness. UK tests long-range missile for Ukraine to bomb Moscow. The U.S. needs to pull out of NATO immediately. So our concern, as we've mentioned before, is that the U.S. is being dragged or could be dragged into a conflict with Russia, because if the UK and France and Germany are arming Ukraine with very powerful long-range targeting missiles that can strike all over the Russian Federation, they're not coming from Ukraine, although they're licensing them to build them in Ukraine. That could drive us into a war, because at some point Russia's going to strike back if they feel more threatened, and that could be even nuclear against Western capitals. So then we have an Article 5 obligation to defend Europe. So do we want that? I mean, that is not what we should be doing, is allowing ourselves to be drawn into yet another global conflict on the continent or in the Middle East. So we think it's sheer madness that this is going on, and Trump really needs to focus, and I'm hoping he does that in the near future. We've been advocating it pretty extensively with Pete Blaber on our Ukraine SITREP as well. This one is important. Trump posts interview with the Iranian resistance. We've been on this for a long time, for a decade. We've been talking about the way to deal with Iran is to give the bully pulpit of the U.S. to the in favor of the Iranian resistance on the ground, who can change the government from inside. No external war needed. And Trump posted finally an interview. It was on Just the News with John Solomon with Ali Reza, who is one of the National Council of Resistance of Iran officials in Washington, D.C. That's the political arm of the resistance movement, or the MEK. So huge, big news. And we just wanted to highlight that, once again, CDM is very early to the party. I mean, I wrote the book years ago, and we've been talking about it for years. So check that story out. All right, let's move to another one here that you need to be aware of. This one is on our Eastern European site, Tsarism.com, which covers all of the former Tsarist empire from Poland all the way to San Francisco. It's meant to target that area. It's not pro-Russian or pro-Ukrainian. It's pro-truth and pro-good news from that area. Even the BBC, the British intelligence mouthpiece, now admits Russia is winning in Donbass and the end is near in that part of the conflict. Of course, Ukraine still retains a robust ability to strike long-range targets inside Russia, as we're talking about. This is the BBC article, Russian troop buildup threatens city, which we reported last week. We've been reporting in depth with Pete Blaber on our Ukraine SITREP podcast about this for some time. So another important story that you should be aware of. And then also on the Manhattan.press is the, let me get to that. 1 second. The U.S. Senate passes the housing bill with the CBDC central bank digital currency ban until 2030. My point is, why are they banning it only until 2030? What's going to change in 2030? Why can't they just ban it completely until another act of Congress? Why does it need to have a cliff that can fall out in 2030 so that they can issue a CBDC? So this is really concerning. It's not a win for us. It's a tell of some other future agenda. All right, so that's that. So we're going to take another break, and we'll be back, and we're going to give you a history lesson and start our preparation for our Beirut trip later in July. So we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere on the SCIF.
Every day, your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
And by the way, I wanted to say I'm starting my journey with Sean. I'm going to be getting a Ghost phone and then upgrading to a Ghost computer soon, because I am going to unplug for the Matrix. And you can follow me along on my journey. So mark37.com/CDM is where you want to go to do that. Find the webinar, sign up for the webinar, and learn everything you need to know to get started. And then you can also sign up for a free 30-minute consultation on privacy there at mark37.com/CDM. But I'm looking forward to it, and I have been worried about privacy for some time. So I'm going to be taking the plunge and changing my life and unplugging from the Matrix, and I'm really looking forward to it. So maybe you can join me.
Through the pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down, and doctors' offices were shut down, and even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
With my 35 years of experience, our team at U.S. Asset Management can deliver professional investment management, financial planning to help you target your goals, and even specialized divorce financial analysis if you need it. We are here to help you make better decisions with your money. Call U.S. Asset Management today, and let's get to work in your financial future.
All right, a couple things. This is a silver round. You can get them at Advisor Metals if you go to cdmmetals.com. When we first started talking about this, it was around $20-something. It's now in the 70s. I think it lasts count was up to 135-ish approximately a while back, but precious metals are a historical store of value for 5,000 years. So the dollar system is at risk because of our debt and because of our spending and because of the world looking to get off the dollar system. And there's a lot of changes in the Gulf with energy supplies and the petrodollar and all of that. So make sure you protect your portfolio. Call Advisor Metals. If you call them, tell them CDM sent you. That's important. But ask them how to protect your portfolio. Even in IRA, you can do it there as well. Ira Bershatsky is extremely good. His team is extremely good. And I think you will really have a good experience. We've had a lot of good feedback from Advisor Metals. So go to cdmmetals.com, fill out the form. They'll contact you or give them a call directly and tell them we sent you. Also, mypillow.com. It's that time of year when people are moving, changing locations, getting ready for college, moving into apartments, getting jobs after graduating from college. How are you going to outfit your son, daughter, or whoever it is that needs bedding, towels, all of that stuff? Go to mypillow.com. Use promo code CDM. It's very important you do that. And check out what Mike has to offer. It's a lot of different materials, products, clothes, dog beds, just slippers, bedding, towels, all of it, sheets. You can check it all. He's got 600 products. He's adding them all the time. I don't even know what he's got. I haven't been on the site recently. But the mattress topper, I love. I always come back and when I'm traveling and love that bad boy. So if you have someone who needs that something special who may have everything, check out the mattress topper from mypillow.com. Use promo code CDM. All right, now we're going to have a history lesson. We're about to go to Beirut as a team. Multiple individuals from CDM will be traveling in July and reporting direct from the Levant because we're opening a media outlet in Lebanon. So that is to come. We'll be talking more about that, but I want to educate you as we move forward on the Levant and the history of Lebanon as we go there, so you have a better understanding. And the bombing of Beirut, front, which we think it was a bombing, it was pitched as an explosion accident in the port, which was a large, like nuclear type explosion, which destroyed the Christian sector, of course, of Beirut. So it's important. You need to know about it. We may be doing some reporting from there while we're there, but here you go. I think you'll enjoy this.
It's August 4th, 2020. At the port of Beirut in Lebanon, a fire has broken out inside this warehouse. Within minutes, the smoke plume can be seen across the city. What happens next will change this country forever. It's one of the largest non-nuclear explosions ever recorded. It rips Beirut apart, killing hundreds and injuring several thousand. Lebanon was already falling into chaos, and the situation is now dire. In the aftermath, I flew into Beirut to report on what was happening on the ground.
We just don't want people to normalize what happened in Beirut, and it's not by mistake. It's a murder.
6 years on, this disaster has been pushed to the back of people's minds. And for those responsible, that's exactly what they want. So let's not overlook this. I'm going to show you what I saw. I've spoken with experts and witnesses and put together a timeline of events so you understand how this played out and why this disaster was inevitable. We're currently over the island of Cyprus, making our final descent into Beirut, and I'm not quite sure what to expect. 13 months have passed since the explosion, and the country is in freefall. Beirut is the capital. Around 2.4 million people live here, more than a third of the country's population. But Lebanon is small. You can theoretically drive the length of it in about 4 hours. It sits on the edge of the Mediterranean and is wedged between Syria and Israel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beirut, where the local time is 20 minutes past 7 p.m.
I'm greeted by my friends, Giorgio and Patrick. Giorgio was close to the port at the time of the explosion. But before I start my reporting, they want me to see the other side of Lebanon that is often overlooked.
Look. 2 big eagles.
This is probably a side of the country you've never seen. It's rich with centuries of history.
Okay, something I've noticed just after being in Lebanon for a day is how green this country is.
Check this out.
Whoa. Good apple. But Lebanon imports everything, including its produce.
And these olive trees are some of the oldest in the world.
Some claim they are between 5,000 and 7,000 years old. Oldest tree I've ever touched in my life.
The valleys rise into mountains, and from the top we watch the sunset in the distance.
Okay, check this out.
And then there's the food and hospitality.
Going to a very famous winery now. And then mom is excited about the coffee.
Great, they have good coffee?
Lebanese coffee.
Yeah. Are you more excited about the coffee than the wine?
Mom is, yeah.
If I left today, you wouldn't think that this was a country on the brink. But the truth is, the Lebanese have built up an incredible resilience over the past 50 years. Today, virtually nothing in Lebanon works as it should. Citywide blackouts are routine. If you can afford it, you run a private diesel generator. They're everywhere, pumping exhaust into the air.
So now most of the private generators are on. You can actually see the black patches.
How long is electricity turned on for a day here in Lebanon?
From the government?
Yeah.
Maximum 4 hours.
And do you know what times it's going to be?
No, it's so random.
This is a river in Beirut, and its literal translation is a river of death. Oh my God, it smells so bad.
The rivers and beaches are contaminated.
We have just arrived at one of the most polluted beaches in Lebanon, and it's right next to this chemical factory with who knows what just falling into the ocean.
Waste is dumped anywhere you can imagine.
We've just run into all this trash, and you find this all around Lebanon.
Landfills are at capacity. In some places, illegal mountains of trash loom over neighborhoods and may soon spill into the sea. After a few days here, my chest feels tight.
It's horrible. This is actually horrible.
And currently, there is a fuel shortage. After days of searching, Giorgio spent hours in line just to get enough petrol for this trip. And on top of all of this, for the past 2 years, Lebanon has been in the midst of a financial collapse, pushing more than half the population below the poverty line.
While Lebanon's economy spirals out of control.
It's pushed tens of thousands of people into poverty.
The value of its currency has effectively dropped to 1/6 of its official value. Banks are limiting withdrawals.
And so this morning, I have to exchange my British pounds on the black market. And the guys are explaining to me why this has now become so common.
To go to the black market to get the higher rate.
Yeah.
If you get an exchange at a bank, they would exchange it at not even quarter of the amount. So yeah.
I'm here for 5 days, and Giorgio insists I'll only need to exchange 145 British pounds to last me the week. I'm still trying to get my head around all this, so I go with it.
So Patrick right now is working out what the rate for the day is.
The $198 times 16,000, that's the black market rate. So he's going to get 3,168,000.
We head into what I think is a phone shop. The guys explain that we have British pounds, which we want to exchange into US dollars and then to the Lebanese lira.
So all that is $100. Okay?
Yeah.
$100 used to be that.
Wow.
Now it's all that.
Giorgio was right. £145 ends up covering everything. Our fuel for the week, all our food. One night, 8 of us visit a restaurant in Beirut. We order drinks, mains, and shisha. We're having a great time, and I still haven't spent it all. I'm completely baffled. But as soon as we leave, the reality of the situation brings it all back into focus. We step back out onto a street with no power, and I see a child asleep on the side of the street. And it hits me of what that £145 means here. In a country where the middle class has collapsed and people are turning to Facebook to barter for food. And like the rest of the world, Lebanon is living through the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm telling you all this so you understand the context of how dire the situation is prior to August 4th. Back then, the people of Lebanon thought that this couldn't possibly get any worse. But they had no idea what was about to happen. At the port of Beirut, sitting in this warehouse is a deadly concoction, a ticking time bomb that has been known to many for years, but nothing has been done to stop what's about to unfold.
Okay, drastic change of location. I'm not in Lebanon, I'm not in London, I'm hundreds of miles above the Arctic Circle, reporting on a story that's coming out soon. But I need to tell you about the sponsor of this video because they are making the trip that I'm on right now possible. It's Saily. Saily is an eSIM company. When I'm traveling abroad, the last thing I want to worry about is not being able to use my phone. In fact, when I was in Lebanon in 2021, I had to find a local SIM card and we weren't able to find one for a few days. So I was relying on other people's hotspots or Wi-Fi connections that are sometimes unsecure. But now in 2026, Saily exists and I don't need to worry about that. As you can see, I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere here. Look, full internet, like 4 bars of 5G. Can you see that? Full signal to be fact-checking in real time, speaking to people back home, checking maps and locations and not getting lost up here in these deadly conditions. And you know, Saily is not just for these extreme environments. Saily is a great option for whenever you're traveling abroad. You can pick SIM cards for Europe, the US, worldwide, whatever you need. And right now you can get an exclusive 15% off data plans with Saily by just using the code FAULTLINE. And you can get that by downloading the Saily app or going to saily.com/faultline. Okay, thank you, Saily, for sponsoring this video. It will all become clear why I am in the Arctic Circle very soon. But for now, let's jump back to this story in Lebanon.
It's August 4th, 2020. The city is alive and the streets are bustling. It's the first day people have been allowed out after a recent coronavirus lockdown. So they're making the most of being outside, moving from shops, bars and restaurants along the waterfront. Nearby, at the port of Beirut, shipping containers are being loaded on and off boats. 70% of Lebanon's commercial imports pass through here. It's a vital lifeline for the country. This afternoon, port authorities have sent a repair team to Hangar 12 to plug a hole that was leaving a highly volatile and valuable chemical compound exposed. At 4 p.m, a team of 3 start welding repairs on door 3 and 11. The workers leave the port at 5 p.m. and just 50 minutes later, a fire breaks out in Hangar 12. At 5:54 p.m, emergency services are alerted to an incident at the port. Firefighters arrive on site 4 minutes later, and a smoke plume is now pouring from the hangar, but they're not told about the highly volatile chemicals stored inside. At 5:59, explosions echo inside the hangar. They sound like fireworks. They continue, and within minutes, the smoke plume intensifies. The cloud rises above the port. People across the city see it. Some pull out their phones and start recording. Then at 6:08, there is a massive detonation.
Was massive. It's like a volcano. So it was something that I never experienced in my life.
As the dust settles, entire neighborhoods lie in ruins. Buildings are destroyed. The streets are full of glass and debris. It's chaos. People are trapped beneath structures and inside tower blocks. Thousands are injured. 3 major hospitals are knocked out of action. Ambulances arrive with nowhere to go, but the wounded keep coming. Along the waterfront, all the bars and restaurants have been obliterated. At the port, a huge crater is the only thing that remains of Hangar 12. The 3 firefighters who rushed to the scene are killed. So are the dock workers and security guards nearby. Those who walked away from inside the port can't believe they're standing. But many do not. And others are still buried beneath the rubble. Rescue teams work through the night searching for survivors. At least 218 people are killed. More than 7,000 are injured. Tens of thousands of buildings are damaged, displacing around 300,000 people.
An Instagram account has been set up to help find people still missing.
She was a fantastic human being. She's the happiest person I've known. I really believe that our daughter was victim of a crime, if not, if you can call it a murder of incompetence and negligence. It's a crime.
When you read these victim statements that are, so in depth, and they're recounting what happened on the day, in this case, this couple's 3-year-old daughter. Oh, this was really hard when you have a child of a similar age. You put yourself in that position, and even in the aftermath, there was nothing. The damage was so widespread that it was almost impossible to save this little girl's life. And it's just one statement. This is just one victim statement. This was one of the largest non-nuclear explosions ever recorded. The shockwave was felt up to 150 miles away. Experts estimate the blast released the energy of between 500 and 1,100 tons of TNT. According to the World Bank, the explosion caused up to $4.6 billion in damage. This would be hard for any country to come back from, but for Lebanon, recovery looks almost impossible. Immediately after, governments around the world start sending aid, support, and money.
The government's declared a 2-week state of emergency.
Port officials are put under house arrest as the government promises to find those responsible. And despite the early arrests, many suspect political influence will shield those truly responsible.
I have one concern, that if other countries are going to help Lebanon, and if they're going to give the money to the government, then it's like they're giving money to those who destroyed us and killed us. They will steal the money.
Across the city, people shift through broken glass and shattered walls, salvaging what they can from the wreckage. For now, there's injuries to treat, people to bury, families to find, and homes to rebuild.
Okay, we're going to hold it right there. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll play the rest of that. But just suffice to say, that was not an accident, in our opinion. There's been a constant attack on Lebanon for decades in a variety of ways. Someone doesn't want a Christian country to thrive in the Levant. And we're going to continue to report on it. And again, we'll be there in a few weeks, but we'll play the rest of that, which goes into kind of the investigation, maybe on the show tomorrow. So anyway, we are done for today. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 to noon, Monday through Friday, Eastern on the SCIF. And tonight, it's Wednesday, right? Yeah, so we'll have the Georgia show tonight with Bill Quinn at 7 p.m. So stick around for that. Bill's been traveling and is going to have a lot to talk about, I guarantee. So we'll see you tonight at 7 on the Georgia show and tomorrow at 10 on the SCIF. Really appreciate you joining us today. Be back tomorrow. Thank you.